My heels clicked too loud on the courthouse tile and I could feel my pulse in my throat like a drum. Derek was already there, handsome suit, fake calm, until his eyes landed on the old man beside me. Derek went white. Not nervous, white, ghost white, like he'd just seen a walking receipt for every lie he'd ever told. "Babe," Derek said, voice cracking on the word like it hurt. Who is that?" I didn't answer right away because I was too busy staring at Derek's face. I'd seen him angry, I'd seen him smug, I'd seen him pretend cry in our kitchen with no tears. I had never seen him afraid. The old man stood straight even though he had to be pushing 70. Gray hair, neat, hands steady on his cane. His coat smelled like winter air and peppermint. He looked Derek up and down like he was reading a label. "I'm just here to support her," the old man said, calm, polite. The kind of calm that makes your skin prickle. Derek's jaw worked like he was chewing a word he didn't want to say. His eyes flicked to the bailiff, the clerk, the security camera above the hallway, then back to the old man. "No," Derek whispered, almost to himself. "No way." That's when I understood something, fast and sharp. This wasn't luck. This wasn't some weird coincidence on a bad day. Derek knew this man. And whatever Derek knew, it scared him bad enough to forget how to lie. 2 hours earlier, I'd been on the bus with a folder pressed to my chest like it could stop a bullet. Divorce hearing, final round. I'd dressed simple navy dress, no jewelry, hair tight. I didn't want to look like I was trying. I wanted to look like I was done. My stomach was empty, but it still felt heavy. The bus rocked over potholes. The heater blasted that dusty, burnt smell that makes your eyes sting. Every stop felt like it took a year. That's when I saw him. He was standing near the middle, swaying a little, gripping the rail like it might slide away from him. People pretended not to notice. Phones, headphones, that not my problem stare. The driver hit the brakes and the old man's cane slipped. His shoulder bumped the pole hard enough I heard it. I was up before I even thought. "Hey sir, you good?" I grabbed his elbow, steadying him. He felt lighter than he should have, like he'd been carrying too much for too long. He blinked at me, eyes watery but sharp. "I'm fine," he said, stubborn as a brick. Then his mouth twitched. "Thank you, though." I guided him into the seat beside me. He sat slow, careful, like every joint had a memory. "You don't have to," he started. "Yeah, I do," I said, simple. "You almost ate the floor." That actually got a small laugh out of him. He smelled clean, like soap and old books, not like someone who'd given up. He looked at the folder in my lap. The courthouse seal on the top page was peeking out. He didn't ask right away. He waited like he knew how to mind his business. But when we hit a red light and the bus idled, he nodded at it. "Court day," I swallowed. "Divorce?" His eyebrows lifted a little, not nosy, just understanding, like that word came with weight he recognized. "That's a hard walk," he said quietly. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. "Yeah." He made sure of that. The old man's gaze stayed on the rainy window, but his voice went softer. "Men who like control don't let go easy." Something in me tightened. "You don't even know him." He finally looked at me then. "No," he said, "but I know the type." The bus rolled forward again. My phone buzzed, another text from Derek. "Even though we weren't supposed to talk unless it was through lawyers, you better not embarrass me today." My thumb hovered over the screen. My hands were shaking, but my face stayed still. I slid the phone back into my bag. The old man saw it anyway. Of course he did. "He still tries to scare you," he said. I gave a short, bitter laugh. "That's basically his hobby." He nodded like he'd just confirmed something. Then he said, real casual, "Where's the hearing?" "Downtown," I answered. "Family courthouse." His head turned fast, too fast, like the words landed somewhere deep. "Family courthouse," he repeated, and his jaw tightened. I frowned. "What?" He hesitated, then leaned in a little. "Would you mind if I came with you?" I blinked. "To my divorce hearing?" "I won't speak unless you ask," he said quickly. "I'll just sit. Sometimes it helps when you're not walking in alone." I should have said no. I didn't know him. I was already stretched thin, but something about him felt solid, like a handrail, and if I'm being honest, a tiny part of me liked the idea of Derek seeing I wasn't isolated anymore, so I nodded. "Okay, if you're sure." He gave me a small smile. "I'm sure." When we got off the bus, the wind slapped cold rain against my face. We walked 2 blocks under the gray sky, my heels tapping fast, his cane clicking steady beside me. Halfway there, he said, almost under his breath, "Let's see if he still thinks he can bully the whole world." I glanced at him. "What do you mean?" He didn't answer. He just kept walking. And when we stepped into the courthouse and Derek's face turned pale like fear had finally found him, I realized I'd just brought a stranger into my worst day, except he wasn't a stranger to Derek at all. Because that elderly man was, the thing is, Derek didn't start out as a villain. If he had, I would have run the first time he smiled at me. I met him 3 years ago at a charity mixer my cousin dragged me to. I was wearing a cheap black dress and pretending I wasn't uncomfortable. Derek walked up like he owned the air around him, clean haircut, nice watch, that smooth, I've got it handled vibe. You look like you'd rather be anywhere else, he said, grinning. Is it that obvious? I asked. He laughed like I was funny, not like he was doing me a favor. Then he offered me a drink and didn't push when I said no. That tiny respect hit me like sunlight. Back then he was all charm and patience. Good morning texts, coffee on my porch. He learned my mom's name and asked about my work like it mattered. He told me I was different and I believed him because I wanted to. I worked at a dental office, not glamorous but steady. My life was simple, rent paid, bills handled. I wasn't rich, but I was free. Derek said he loved that about me. What he actually loved was how easy it would be to slowly take that freedom away. We got married fast. People warned me, but Derek was convincing. He said, "Why wait? When you know, you know." He cried during his vows. I cried too. I thought it meant something. The first real crack showed up about 4 months in. Nothing huge, just a little control wearing a friendly face. "Babe, you don't need to work that hard," he said one night, rubbing my shoulders. "Let me take care of you." It sounded sweet. It sounded safe. So when he suggested I cut my hours, I did. When he suggested I quit, I didn't fight like I should have. Then it got quieter, slower. He started handling the boring money stuff. He said I was too stressed and he didn't want me worrying. Our accounts shifted. My paycheck stopped, so my name stopped showing up on anything important. I asked once, shouldn't my name be on the savings? Derek smiled and kissed my forehead. Why, you're my wife. It's our money, but funny how our money always lived under his thumb. After that, the rules kept stacking up like dirty dishes. He didn't like my best friend, Nia. She's a bad influence, he said. Translation. She could see him too clearly. He didn't like me visiting my mom alone. Your family puts ideas in your head, he said, like my brain was a room anybody could decorate. He didn't like me going anywhere without telling him first. I just worry, he'd say, and then he'd make worry sound like love. And the worst part, I started shrinking to fit the life he wanted. Then one night I heard him on the phone in the garage. He didn't know I was there because I'd come out to throw away trash. The door was cracked, his voice was low. No, she doesn't know, he said. She won't, I've got her. There was a pause, then he laughed, short, sharp, mean, not the laugh I married. I stood there with a trash bag in my hand, frozen, because I didn't know who he was talking about, but I knew who he was talking down to. When I walked back inside, I didn't confront him. Not yet, I just started watching. Little stuff popped up first. My card declined at the grocery store even though he'd told me the account was fine. A late notice in the mail for a credit card I didn't remember opening. A charge for a hotel in a city I'd never been to. When I asked, he didn't explain. He flipped it. Why are you checking up on me? He snapped. You don't trust your own husband? I remember standing in the kitchen, the sink full of dishes, the overhead light buzzing, and thinking he's not answering because the answer is ugly. The first solid proof came in a plain envelope that didn't match our usual bills. Inside was a credit report summary. My name, my social, new accounts, high balances. My hands went cold. I sat on the floor like my legs forgot how to work. When Derek came home, I held it up. What is this? He barely glanced at it before his face changed. Not guilt, not panic, annoyance. Oh my God, he said, dragging a hand down his face like I was exhausting. You're spiraling again. Again, I repeated. What do you mean, again? He stepped closer and lowered his voice like he was calming a child. You get anxious. You misread things, you work yourself up. Remember? I stared at him, confused because I didn't remember. Not like that. He kept going anyway. Let me handle it. I'll call the bank. You don't need to stress. That was the gaslighting trick. Make me doubt my own memory, then offer himself as the only reality I could trust. Except I wasn't confused anymore. I was done being managed. So I called Nia from my car with the doors locked and the engine off. My voice came out shaky. I think he's using my identity, I said. Nia didn't hesitate. Okay, she said. We're gonna play this smart. No more confronting him alone. That's when the divorce started, not because I stopped loving Derek, because I finally saw him. Fast forward to this morning on that bus, clutching my court folder like armor. The old man sat beside me, listening in that quiet way that made you tell the truth without meaning to. When he asked what courthouse, I also said Derek's full name, mostly out of habit, like it didn't matter. "Derek Caldwell," I muttered, staring out at the rain. The old man's whole body went still. His cane stopped tapping, his breath caught just a little, then he looked at me like the weather had changed. "Caldwell," he repeated slow. "Yeah," I said. "Why?" He didn't answer right away. He just reached into his coat and touched something in the inside pocket like he was making sure it was still there. Then very softly he said, "Yeah, I should come with you." And when we stepped into the courthouse and Derek saw him, Derek's fear told me everything. This old man wasn't random, he was a threat. Derek tried to recover fast, that's his thing, panic, then a mask. He stepped toward me like he was about to hug me, like we were still a couple playing nice for the hallway. But his hand landed on my elbow and squeezed a little too hard. "Can I talk to you?" he said through his teeth, smiling for the cameras. The old man's cane tapped once, sharp like a warning shot. "Don't," the old man said. Derek's smile froze. "Excuse me?" The old man reached into his coat and pulled out a worn leather wallet. He flipped it open just enough for Derek to see something inside. Not a badge, not some dramatic TV thing, just an ID card with a seal and an old photo. Derek's throat bobbed. "You're retired?" "Yeah," the old man said. "And you're still you." I stood there, blinking between them like my brain was buffering. "Okay, what is happening?" The old man turned to me. His voice stayed calm, but his eyes were on Derek the whole time. "My name's Thomas Raines," he said. "I was with County Financial Crimes for a long time. Before that, Fraud Task Force. I know your husband." Derek snapped. "Ex-husband, she's here to make that official." Tom didn't even flinch. "Sure," he said. "That's why I came in with her." My stomach dropped. You know him how?" Tom's jaw tightened. "He's been in my file." Derek stepped closer, too close, and lowered his voice. "This is harassment. You can't," Tom cut him off. "You're in a family courthouse acting like you run the world." Same old play. I felt my scalp prickle. Derek had told me for years that his past was clean, that the one time he got arrested was a misunderstanding over a bar fight in college. He'd said it with that easy shrug that made you stop asking questions. Tom looked at me like he knew exactly what Derek had fed me. "He ever mentioned the fraud case?" Tom asked. My mouth went dry. "No," Tom nodded once like he'd expected that. "Of course not." Derek's eyes flashed, and for a second the real Derek peeked out, cold and angry. "You're trying to poison her." Tom's stare didn't move. "You poisoned your own life, son. I'm just the receipt." The hallway felt louder than it was, phones ringing, shoes squeaking, a baby crying somewhere. My hands started shaking, but I locked them around my folder. "Tom," I said, voice low, "what fraud case?" Tom exhaled. "Not here," he said, "but you deserve the truth, and he deserves a witness." Derek leaned in, smile back on like he was acting for a jury that wasn't even there yet. "Maya," he said softly, like I was the crazy one, "this is exactly what I mean. You latch onto drama." Tom's eyes flicked to me. "He always talked to you like that." I didn't answer because the answer was sitting in my chest like a stone. A door opened down the hall. A clerk called, "Caldwell." Derek's head snapped toward it. His whole body went tense like he wanted to run and couldn't. Tom nodded at the courtroom. "Go in," he told me. "I'll sit behind you. That way he can't whisper his little threats like he used to." Used to, that phrase hit me hard. I walked into the courtroom with my heart banging, and I could feel Derek's eyes burning into my back. Tom followed, steady, quiet, taking a seat 2 rows behind me like he belonged there. Derek sat at his table with his attorney, but his focus kept slipping. He glanced back at Tom again and again like he couldn't believe Tom was real. The judge started talking. Standard stuff: dates, property, temporary orders becoming permanent. My lawyer Nia's cousin, a sharp woman named Marissa, kept her voice smooth and clean like she'd been waiting for this moment. Derek tried his act. "Your Honor, I just want this handled peacefully. I've always supported Maya." I almost laughed out loud. Supported me? He drained me, isolated me, and then told me I was too emotional to understand money. Then Derek did something stupid. He tried to slide his hand onto my shoulder when we stood to address the judge, like we were still united, like he was the nice guy. I stepped away, and in that tiny movement his mask cracked. His smile slipped for half a second and his eyes went mean. Tom cleared his throat behind me, not loud, just enough. Derek looked back and that fear came right back to his face. The judge noticed. Judges notice everything. "Mr. Caldwell," the judge said, tone flat, "is there a problem?" Derek snapped back, "No, Your Honor, no problem." After the hearing paused for a quick recess, Marissa pulled me aside near the water fountain. "We're okay," she murmured. "He's posturing, let him," I whispered. "That man behind me, Tom, he says Derek has a fraud history." Marissa's eyes sharpened. "That's interesting." Before I could say more, Tom walked up, slow and careful, cane tapping. "Ma'am," he said to Marissa, "I didn't come here to stir up trouble. I came because I heard his name and I recognized the pattern." Marissa gave him a measured look. "And what pattern is that?" Tom's gaze flicked to Derek across the hall, laughing too loud with his attorney like he wasn't sweating inside. Tom lowered his voice. "He doesn't just steal," he said. "He flips it. He makes the woman look unstable. He builds a story where she's the problem." My skin went cold again. Because that was exactly what Derek had been doing to me for months, calling me paranoid, forgetful, spiraling. Tom leaned closer and his next words landed like a punch. "And if you don't move fast," he said, "he's gonna try to make you the one who takes the fall." Derek didn't wait for the recess to end. He came straight at me in the hallway with that fake soft voice he used when he wanted to sound reasonable. "Maya," he said, palms out like I was a stray cat. "I'm not trying to fight you, but that man, he's not safe." Tom stood a few steps behind me, quiet, watching. I kept my voice flat. "You look like you've seen a ghost." Derek's eyes flicked to Tom's cane. "He's a bitter old guy who's obsessed with me," he said fast. "He got fired years ago. He's probably not even who he says he is." Tom didn't react, just stared like he'd heard that exact line before. Marissa leaned in close to me. "Don't talk to him without me," she whispered. Derek heard it anyway and smirked. "Wow, lawyer already got you on a leash, huh?" There it was, the needle. The little insult meant to make me snap so he could point and go, "See, she's unstable." I didn't give him the reaction. I just looked at his mouth, watched it move, and realized I knew this script. Tom's voice cut through like a paper blade. "Derek, you still do that? Try to make the woman look crazy so nobody listens?" Derek's smile sharpened. "Nobody asked you." Tom nodded once. "That's fine." "I didn't come for permission." Derek stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You don't want to be mixed up in this, old man." Tom's eyes stayed steady. "Too late." Derek turned back to me, softer again. "Maya, listen. He's gonna poison your head with old stories. He's lonely. He needs attention." I said, "Or you're scared because he knows what you've done." Derek's face twitched. "You hear yourself," he said, louder now, like he wanted people to look. "This is exactly the paranoia I told the court about." My stomach dropped. "He told the court about it." Marissa's eyebrows lifted. "What did you tell the court, Mr. Caldwell?" Derek snapped. "It's in my filing. She's been having episodes. Confusion, memory issues. I've been worried." I stared at him. "You're seriously doing this?" He nodded with fake sadness. "I'm trying to protect you." That was his favorite lie. "I'm protecting you," like I was a problem he owned. Tom leaned toward Marissa. "He's setting up a mental health angle," he said quietly. "He did it before." Marissa's voice stayed calm, but her eyes got colder. "Before what?" Tom tapped his cane lightly, then reached into his coat and pulled out a plain manila envelope. He didn't hand it to me, he handed it to Marissa. "Case notes," he said. "Old complaints, names, dates. He's not new at this." Derek's smile vanished. "You can't bring that in here," Tom said. "Watch me." Marissa opened the envelope just enough to see a stack of paper clipped neat. She didn't read it all right there, but I saw one word at the top of the first page and my mouth went dry. "Caldwell." Marissa looked at me. "Maya, did you know he had a fraud investigation?" I shook my head. "He told me it was a bar fight." Tom let out a short breath. "Sure, a bar fight that involved bank accounts." Derek laughed loud and fake. "This is insane." Marissa held up a hand. "Mr. Caldwell, walk away." He didn't. He leaned in, closer to my ear, voice sweet like syrup. "Do you really want to do this?" he whispered. "I can make this so ugly for you." I felt my skin crawl. "You already did." He smiled like he'd won something. "Then don't act surprised when people hear the truth about you." That's when I saw it, his phone half out of his pocket, screen lit for a second, a notification preview flashed. Transfer scheduled. 11:30 a.m., $9,800. My eyes locked on it. Derek noticed and shifted fast, blocking it with his hand like a magician hiding a card. What? He snapped. I kept my face still. Nothing, but my heart was sprinting, a transfer today in the middle of our divorce hearing, like he still thought he could move money around while I sat in court like a good little victim. Nia's voice hit my ear through my earbuds. She'd been on the line quietly for 10 minutes, listening like Marissa told me to. Girl, Nia whispered, did he just get a transfer alert? Yes, I murmured. Okay, she said, voice turning sharp. That's our thread, pull it. Marissa didn't miss my change in breathing. She leaned in. What did you see? I swallowed. A transfer, almost 10 grand. Marissa's eyes narrowed. From where? I don't know, I said, but he hid it. Tom's mouth tightened like he'd tasted something bitter. He's moving money before the judge can freeze anything, he said. He thinks you won't catch it. Derek tried one last shove of the narrative. He raised his voice again, aiming it at the hallway. Your Honor, he called toward the courtroom doors, loud enough for staff to hear, I need to speak on a safety concern. Marissa stepped in front of him like a wall. Sit down, Mr. Caldwell. Derek's eyes flashed. He looked right at me and he smiled, not charming, not sweet, threatening. Then he mouthed 4 words with no sound at all. You won't prove it. Tom leaned closer to me, voice low. He's wrong, he said, and I know exactly how to prove it. He tapped the envelope in Marissa's hands and added, even quieter, but you're gonna have to let him think he's winning right up until it hits him in public. Tom didn't try to be dramatic about it. He just leaned in like we were talking about the weather. We're gonna trap him with his own moves, he said. Clean, legal, no guessing. Marissa's phone was already in her hand. I can file an emergency motion right now, she said. Freeze assets, protect her credit, force disclosures. Derek was across the hall, laughing too loud again, shaking hands like he wasn't sweating. He kept checking his phone like a kid watching a timer. Nia whispered in my earbud, he's about to hit that transfer, I can feel it. Tom nodded at my bag. You have your credit report copy? Yeah, I said. Good, and your bank app? I hesitated. Derek locked me out last month. Tom didn't look surprised. Of course he did. Marissa spoke fast, sharp. Maya, you're going to do 3 things. 1, don't confront him. 2, keep him talking if he approaches you. 3, if he touches your phone or tries to isolate you, you step back and say it loud. Got it? I swallowed. Got it. Tom glanced at the clerk's window down the hall. We also need a time-stamped record that he tried to move money during court. How? I asked. Tom's eyes stayed on Derek. He won't stop himself. He thinks he's smarter than everyone. The recess ended. The bailiff called us back in. Inside the courtroom, Derek sat like a man who'd rehearsed his smile in the mirror. He kept his hand on his phone under the table, not even hiding it well. The judge started again. Calm voice, no patience for drama. Marissa stood. Your Honor, before we proceed, we have an urgent concern regarding marital assets and potential identity theft. Derek's attorney, some slick guy with a perfect tie, shifted in his seat. Objection to, the judge lifted a hand. I'll allow a brief statement. My heart slammed. Marissa continued. My client has documentation showing multiple credit accounts opened in her name without consent. She also observed a transfer notification on Mr. Caldwell's phone moments ago for nearly $10,000 during this hearing. Derek's head snapped toward me so fast it was almost funny. His eyes were pure hate. That's a lie, he said loud. The judge looked at him. Mr. Caldwell, sit. Derek's attorney leaned in, whispering hard. Derek didn't listen. He stared at me like I'd just ruined his favorite toy. The judge turned to Marissa. Do you have supporting documents? Marissa handed over a neat stack. My credit summary, the late notices, a printout Nia helped me make from my phone photos. And on top, Tom's old case notes clipped clean with dates and complaint numbers. The judge's eyes narrowed as she scanned. The room got quiet in that heavy way where you can hear every swallow. Derek tried to laugh. This is my wife being emotional. She's been— Stop, the judge said, flat. I'm not interested in character attacks. I'm interested in facts. Derek's attorney's face went tight. Your Honor, if there are criminal allegations we request, you'll get your chance, the judge said. Then she looked directly at Derek. Hand your phone to the bailiff. Derek froze. No, he blurted, then caught himself. I mean, why now? The judge repeated. Derek's hand twitched toward his pocket like he might try something dumb. The bailiff stepped closer. Big guy, no nonsense. Derek's eyes flicked around the room like he was looking for an exit that didn't exist. Slowly, Derek pulled out his phone and handed it over. The bailiff brought it to the judge. The judge glanced at the screen. I couldn't see it clearly from where I sat, but I saw the judge's mouth tighten. Then she looked back up. "Mr. Caldwell," she said, "there is a scheduled transfer of $9,800 set to process today at 11:30 a.m. Is this connected to a marital account?" Derek's face went stiff. I don't know what you're talking about." The judge didn't blink. "So you're saying you don't recognize your own banking alert?" Derek swallowed hard. "It's probably spam." Marissa's voice stayed smooth. "Your Honor, we also request an immediate order preventing any transfer, sale, or movement of funds pending full disclosure. My client has reason to believe her identity and finances are being actively compromised." The judge set the phone down. "Granted," she said. "Bailiff, return the phone and instruct Mr. Caldwell that any attempt to move assets after this order will be treated seriously." Derek's attorney leaned in, whispering again, face pale now too. Derek got his phone back with shaking fingers. He stared at the screen like it was betraying him. Nia's whisper came through my earbud, excited and sharp. "He's trying it anyway. He just opened the banking app." Tom shifted behind me. "I heard his cane tap once." Marissa didn't even look at Derek. She just said quietly, "Let him." Derek's thumb moved fast, too fast, like muscle memory. Then his shoulders jumped, his face twisted. Because whatever he hit on that screen didn't go through. He looked up wild-eyed, and for the first time in years, Derek didn't have a line ready. The judge watched him. "Mr. Caldwell," she said, "are you attempting to violate my order right now?" Derek stammered, "No, it's not." And right then, the courtroom doors opened. Two officers walked in with a woman in a plain blazer carrying a folder. She moved straight to the judge, spoke softly, and handed over paperwork. The judge read one page, then looked at Derek like she'd finally found the bottom of him. "Mr. Caldwell," she said, voice ice cold, "stand up." Derek didn't move. The bailiff stepped toward him. Tom's voice came low behind me, almost gentle. "This is the part where he realizes the room isn't his anymore." Derek stood slow, like his legs didn't belong to him. The officer stepped forward. "Derek Caldwell?" Derek's lips went white. "Yeah," the officer nodded. "You're being detained pending investigation for identity theft and fraud." "Turn around." Derek's eyes locked on mine, furious and terrified at the same time. And I just sat there, calm for the first time in months, watching the cuffs come out like the truth finally had hands. They didn't cuff Derek like it was some TV scene with yelling and chaos. It was worse than that. It was quiet. The officer guided Derek's wrists behind his back like he was just another file on a cart. Derek's suit jacket rode up. His watch flashed under the courtroom lights. His face was still stuck between anger and panic, like his brain couldn't pick one. "Your Honor," Derek blurted, trying to get his voice smooth again, "this is a misunderstanding. She's manipulating people." The judge didn't even look impressed. "Mr. Caldwell, stop speaking." Derek's eyes snapped to me. "Maya, tell them you're overreacting." I didn't move, I didn't blink, I just watched him, and it hit me how small he looked when his control didn't work. Nia's whisper crackled in my earbud. "Girl, I'm shaking." Marissa stood with her hands folded like she'd been waiting for this exact moment for months. "Your Honor," she said, calm, "for the record, my client has not made any threats. She is cooperating fully." The judge nodded once. "Noted." Derek twisted his head toward Tom, eyes furious. "You did this?" Tom's voice stayed low and steady. "No, Derek, you did this. You just finally got caught where people could see it." The officer stepped closer to Derek. "Turn around, walk." Derek tried one last thing, his favorite trick. He softened his face, dropped his shoulders, made his voice sound hurt. "Maya," he said like he was the victim, "after everything I did for you, you're gonna let them treat me like this?" For a split second, the old me almost answered. The old me would have explained myself. The old me would have tried to make him feel better so the room could breathe again. But that old me was gone. I leaned forward just a little. "After everything you did to me," I said, "you're lucky they're only using handcuffs." His eyes went flat. Then the officer walked him out. You could hear the chain of the cuffs softly clinking with every step like a metronome for his downfall. Derek's attorney rushed after them, whispering fast. Derek's shoes squeaked once on the tile, then the doors closed behind him, and the air changed, like the room finally stopped holding its breath. I didn't realize I was crying until a tear hit my lip and tasted salty. My chest hurt, but it wasn't fear anymore, it was release. Marissa touched my shoulder, gentle. "You did good," she murmured. "You didn't take the bait." Tom stayed seated for a moment like he was letting the dust settle, then he looked at me. "You okay?" he asked. I laughed once, short and shaky. "I don't even know what okay is right now." He nodded like that made sense. "That's normal." Outside the courtroom, the hallway buzzed, people stared, a couple of strangers pretended not to, but their eyes followed anyway. Derek's neat little image was leaking out onto the floor where everyone could see it. We turned the corner near the elevators, and there he was, Derek, standing with two officers trying to keep his posture like he was still in charge. His cuffs were in front now, but they were still cuffs. The woman in the blazer, the one who'd walked in with that folder, spoke to him like he was a number. "Mr. Caldwell," she said, "we're going to ask you some questions about accounts opened in Maya Caldwell's name. And about transfers initiated this morning." Derek scoffed like he could bully the air. "I want my lawyer." "You'll have your lawyer," she said. "And you'll have your paperwork. Right now we're securing devices and placing holds where applicable." Derek's eyes flicked to me again. He couldn't help it. He needed to see if I was breaking. I didn't give him that. Tom stepped slightly in front of me, not blocking me like I was fragile, more like he was drawing a line. Derek swallowed. "You think you won," he said, voice sharp. "You didn't." Tom leaned in just enough for Derek to hear. "You're still thinking like this is a marriage fight," he said. "It's not. It's a fraud case." Derek's mouth opened, ready to spit some lie, then his phone buzzed. 1, 2, 3 times, back to back. The screen lit up. Even from a few steps away, I saw the words that made Derek's face drop. "Transfer declined, account restricted." Derek stared at it like it was a gun pointed at his head, and I felt something inside me click into place, because that wasn't just embarrassment. That was his whole little machine, his hidden accounts, his sneaky moves, his "I've got her" confidence getting jammed up in real time. Nia walked up fast from the other end of the hall, eyes wide, and grabbed my hand. "I saw him," she whispered. "Everybody saw him." Marissa exhaled. "Good," she said. "Let him feel it." Tom turned to me. "This is only the first door," he said quietly. "There are more." My stomach tightened. "More what?" Tom's eyes stayed calm, but his voice went even lower. "More victims," he said, "and more money." He nodded at Marissa's folder. "And I just remembered something that's going to make him panic for real." Marissa didn't let us linger in the hallway. She moved like a woman who knew the clock mattered. "Conference room, now," she said, already walking. We slid into a small glass room that smelled like burnt coffee and printer paper. Rain streaked down the window, making the city outside look smeared and tired. Nia paced like a caged cat, phone glued to her ear. Tom sat slow, careful, cane against the chair, eyes sharp like he could still see through walls. Marissa closed the door. "Okay," she said. "Maya, I need a clear timeline. When did you lose access to your accounts?" "October," I said. "He said it was for my stress." Tom snorted once. "Classic," Marissa typed fast. "And the credit report?" "2 weeks ago," I said. "I found it in the mail." Nia stopped pacing. "And he tried to run a transfer today," she added, voice shaking with anger, "in the middle of court. Like he's allergic to shame." Marissa looked at Tom. "What did you mean back there, more victims?" Tom didn't answer right away. He pulled a second envelope from his coat, thicker, older, the corners soft like it had been handled a lot. He set it on the table like a brick. "I didn't bring this to show off," he said. "I brought it because he'll try to pin everything on her." My stomach tightened. "How?" Tom flipped open the envelope and slid out photocopies, old forms, typed statements, a couple blurry photos. I saw Derek's face in one, younger but the same eyes, same smug mouth. Across the top of the page was a different name, Derek Mills. I blinked hard. "That's not his name." Tom pointed at it. "It was, then it wasn't. He's used 3. "Caldwell is the cleanest one," Nia swore under her breath. "Oh my God," Marissa's eyes narrowed. "Alias history helps detention, flight risk." Tom nodded. "And here's the part that matters. He doesn't just steal money, he steals stories. He builds a version where the woman is unstable and he's the heroic husband handling things." I felt cold. "He told the court I was having episodes." Marissa's jaw clenched. "He filed that?" I nodded, my throat burned. "He called it concern." Tom's voice stayed calm, but it hit like a hammer. "He did that to the last one." I stared at him. "Last one who?" Tom slid a page toward me, a name in bold, Lena Park, under it. "Credit fraud complaint. Coercive control indicators, false wellness narrative." I heard my own breath get loud. "He did this to someone else." More than one, Tom said quietly. Lena lost her apartment, lost her job. Spent months trying to prove she wasn't the problem. Nia's eyes filled. That's sick. Tom looked at me. Derek's scared because he knows I've seen the pattern. He also knows what happens when patterns turn into proof. Marissa snapped into motion. Okay, here's the plan. Maya signs an affidavit today. We file for emergency protective orders, asset restraints, and identity theft documentation. I'm also requesting court-ordered device preservation. Nia leaned forward. And I'm calling the bank fraud department again. I already have a case number. Tom tapped his cane once. And I'll call an old colleague. If Derek Mills pops in a system anywhere, we'll know where he's been hiding. My stomach churned. What if he tries to blame me? Marissa didn't hesitate. Let him try, we're going to get ahead of it. She slid a form toward me. My hand shook as I signed, pen scratching loud in the quiet room. Then Marissa said, next step, civil standby. You're going back to the house with an officer to collect your documents and personal property. No drama, no being alone in a room with his stuff. A hot wave of fear hit me. I don't want to go back there. Nia squeezed my hand. I got you. Tom's voice softened. You're not going back as his wife, he said. You're going back as a witness. 30 minutes later, we pulled up outside the house Derek once called our little kingdom. The sky was the color of dirty cotton. A patrol car waited at the curb. The officer nodded at us like this was routine. Inside, everything looked the same. Our photo on the wall, Derek's shoes by the door, the faint smell of his cologne still stuck in the air. But I wasn't the same. I moved straight to the office. My hands went to the bottom drawer where Derek always said nothing important was kept, locked, of course. Tom stepped in behind me, eyes scanning. He hides important things in boring places, he said. Nia crouched and pointed. Under the desk, she whispered. A small safe was bolted into the wood like a secret he thought nobody would notice. My mouth went dry. I didn't even know that was there. The officer shifted closer. Do you have the code? I shook my head. Tom stared at the safe for a long beat, then he looked at me. Try your birthday, he said. Men like him don't get creative. They get lazy. I swallowed, punched it in with trembling fingers, and the safe clicked open like it had been waiting. Inside were passports. Not one, 3, different names, different photos, same eyes. And on top of them, a thin folder with a sticky note in Derek's handwriting. Maya, if she tries anything. My blood turned to ice as I reached for it. The folder felt too light for how heavy it made my chest. The sticky note on top, Maya, if she tries anything, looked like a joke Derek would laugh at if it wasn't aimed at my life. My fingers trembled as I opened it. Paper edges scraped my skin. Inside was a neat stack, clipped and labeled like homework. First page, a statement written in my voice. It started with, I, Maya Caldwell, admit I've been confused lately. I went cold. I kept reading. It said I had memory issues, that I misplaced money, that Derek handled finances out of concern, that I often forgot conversations and became paranoid. It even had a line about me misusing medication. I don't take medication. My stomach twisted hard. Nia stepped closer and read over my shoulder. Oh hell no, she whispered. He wrote your confession. Tom's face didn't change much, but his eyes got darker. That's not a confession, he said. That's a trap. I flipped to the next page. A printed email draft to Derek's attorney. If Maya escalates, use Exhibit B. Emphasize mental instability. Suggest evaluation. Request custody of accounts for safety. I laughed once, but it came out ugly. He planned this. The officer shifted beside me. Ma'am, don't touch anything else. Let me photograph it. Marissa held up her phone anyway, hands steady. I'm documenting it too, she said, voice tight. This is premeditated obstruction. I stared at Marissa. Obstruction? Trying to discredit you, she said. Trying to create fake evidence and use it in court. This is him setting the table. I flipped another page before the officer could stop me, like my body needed to know the full damage. There was a checklist, a literal checklist. Claim Maya is forgetful, say she's spiraling, mention episodes if needed. Call for wellness, check move funds before freeze if she accuses me, accuse her first. My throat burned. He had a plan for everything. Tom's voice went low. Men like him don't improvise, they rehearse. Then I saw the last section labeled in bold, court day. Under it, if she brings documents, deny. If she brings witness, discredit. If the judge asks, act calm. If police appear, ask for counsel and say she's mentally unwell. I felt like I was reading Derek's brain on paper. All the sweet words, all the "I'm worried about you," all of it was just lines on a script. And then I found something that made my hands go numb. A pre-filled police report form with my name in the suspect box. Under incident, it said theft of marital funds, unauthorized access to accounts, emotional instability observed. Nia sucked in air. He was gonna call the cops on you. I couldn't speak. My mouth was open, but nothing came out. The officer took the folder from my hands. "This is evidence," he said. "It's coming with me." Tom nodded. "Good." Marissa looked at me. "Maya," she said softly, "this is why I told you not to confront him alone. He was building a story to bury you." I finally found my voice. It came out quiet and flat. "He was going to ruin me." Nia grabbed my hand hard. "Not anymore." The officer moved to the safe. "Now the passports," he said. Tom leaned in, voice careful. "Don't touch them, let him bag everything." The officer snapped photos, then sealed the passports in an evidence bag. 3 faces. Same eyes, different names. Marissa stared at the passports, then at me. "This isn't just divorce court anymore," she said. "This is bigger." A sound cut through the room, my phone buzzing in my pocket. Derek. For a second I couldn't breathe. My whole body wanted to reject the call like poison, but Marissa's eyes flicked up. "Answer," she said, "on speaker." My heart pounded as I hit accept. Derek's voice came through instantly, too smooth, too controlled. "Maya." "Where are you?" I forced my voice to stay calm. "At the house." Silence, just a beat, then sharper. "Why?" I swallowed. "Civil standby, getting my things." Another beat. I heard a faint sound in the background, like traffic, like he was outside somewhere. "Don't go in my office," he said, voice dropping. My blood turned to ice. I glanced at Tom and Marissa. Marissa mouthed, "Keep him talking." I said, "Why not?" Derek exhaled, annoyed, like I was being difficult. "Because you don't understand what you're looking at." I gripped the phone. "I understand plenty." His voice turned sweet again, fake gentle. "Maya, listen, you're stressed, you're gonna misread things. Just close the safe and walk away, okay?" Tom leaned in and murmured, just loud enough for the mic to catch, "He knows." Derek heard it. His breath hitched. "Who's there?" I didn't answer. Derek's voice sharpened. "Put it back," he hissed. "All of it? If you touch that folder, you're gonna regret it." Marissa's eyes lit up like she'd just gotten gold. She whispered, "He just threatened you." Derek kept going, rushing now. "You think you're smart. You think your little friend and your little lawyer can save you? I built that file for a reason." My stomach dropped. "You built it for what reason, Derek?" he snapped. "To protect myself. From you?" The lie was so bold it almost impressed me. Tom's voice came calm and deadly in the room. "He just admitted it." Derek's tone changed again, too late. "Maya, don't do this, we can fix it." Marissa reached over and ended the call. The silence after was loud. Nia whispered, "He's cooked." The officer zipped the evidence bag shut and looked at me. "Ma'am," he said, "I'm taking this straight to the investigators." Tom stood slowly, cane firm. "And I'm going with him," he said, then he looked at me. "Because the next time Derek sees you, he's going to try a different story." Marissa gathered her papers. "We're filing an emergency motion," she said, "today. And this time, he's not walking out smiling." I swallowed, staring at the empty safe like it was a grave. Outside, the rain kept tapping the windows like impatient fingers, and deep down, I knew the cruelest part wasn't Derek's threats. It was what was about to happen when his own words got played back in a courtroom. By late afternoon, we were back in court, same building, same stale coffee smell, same metal benches that made your back ache. But it didn't feel like divorce court anymore. It felt like Derek's whole little world had started cracking open, one loud snap at a time. Derek walked in with a different energy. Earlier, he'd been cocky. Now he was stiff, eyes darting, jaw locked like he was biting down panic. His suit was still sharp, but his face wasn't. He looked like a man who'd run out of angles. His attorney sat close, whispering fast. Derek kept shaking his head like he didn't want to hear it. Marissa leaned toward me. "We filed everything," she murmured. "Emergency orders, evidence submission, and your affidavit. The court has it all." Nia sat on my other side, knee bouncing. "I swear I'm gonna throw up," she whispered. Tom sat one row behind, quiet as stone. The judge came in and the room stood. When we sat, she didn't waste time with polite talk. "Mr. Caldwell," she said, voice flat, "you are now under a temporary restraining order regarding marital assets and contact with Miss Caldwell. Any violation will be referred for enforcement." Derek's mouth opened like he was gonna argue. The judge looked straight at him. "Do you understand?" Derek swallowed. "Yes," Marissa stood. "Your Honor, we also have additional evidence recovered today with civil standby, including prewritten statements intended to falsely portray my client as mentally unstable, and a recorded phone call where Mr. Caldwell threatens her and admits he created the file to protect himself." Derek snapped too loud. "That call was taken out of context." The judge didn't blink. "Play it." My stomach flipped. Marissa connected her phone to the court system. The speakers popped softly, then Derek's voice filled the room, smooth at first like honey over a knife. "Maya, you're stressed. You're gonna misread things, just close the safe and walk away." Derek's face tightened. Then his voice, sharper, colder, "Put it back. If you touch that folder, you're gonna regret it." Nia's hand gripped mine so hard it hurt. Then the line that cracked him, "I built that file for a reason." Marissa's voice on the recording, "For what reason, Derek?" Derek on the recording, "Quick and careless to protect myself." The courtroom went dead quiet after that, not even coughing. Just silence, thick and heavy. The judge stared at Derek for a long beat. "So you created false documentation to undermine Miss Caldwell's credibility and potentially shift blame to her." Derek tried to shake his head, but his body didn't fully believe him. "No, Your Honor, she's twisting." "Stop," the judge said, like she was done listening to noise. Then she looked at Marissa. "The passports?" Marissa handed up the photos the officer took. 3 passports, 3 names, same face. Derek's attorney's skin went pale. He leaned in to whisper again, but Derek shrugged him off like a drowning man pushing away a life jacket. The judge's voice got colder. "Mr. Caldwell, I am referring this matter to the district attorney's office based on what is now in front of me." Derek finally sounded scared. "This is family court." The judge stared him down. "It was?" A woman in the same plain blazer from earlier stood near the aisle. She didn't smile, she didn't glare, she just spoke like facts were bullets. "Mr. Caldwell," she said, "based on evidence recovered today, additional holds have been placed on accounts connected to you. Your devices are subject to seizure. You will be contacted regarding formal charges." Derek's face twitched. "You can't just—" "We can," she said, cutting him off. And we did. For the first time in years, Derek looked around like he expected someone to save him, like he expected his charm to trigger a trapdoor out of the room. Nobody moved. Then something happened that felt cruel in the cleanest way. A woman stepped into the back of the courtroom. Tom sat up straighter. Nia's bouncing knee stopped. Even Marissa glanced back. The woman was about my age, hair pulled tight, eyes tired but hard. She held a folder to her chest like it was armor. Tom leaned forward and whispered, "That's Lena." Lena Park didn't look at me at first. She looked at Derek. Derek saw her, and whatever color he had left drained right out. Lena walked to the front, calm as a storm you can't outrun, and spoke to the blazer woman. Quiet words. A small nod. Then Lena turned and looked straight at Derek. "You told me I was crazy," she said, not loud but clear enough that every corner of the room heard it. "You told my landlord I was unstable. You told my job I was confused." Derek's mouth moved, but nothing came out. Lena lifted her folder a little. "I kept everything," she said, "and now she did too." Derek's attorney finally stood. "Your Honor, the judge cut him off. "This court is done entertaining Mr. Caldwell's performance." Derek's shoulders sank like the strings holding him up got cut. Marissa leaned in close to me. "We're walking out now," she whispered. "Head high." Nia squeezed my hand, eyes glossy. "You're free," she breathed. As we stood, Derek turned toward me one last time, eyes burning with hate and fear. "Maya," he hissed, trying to sound powerful, "you think this is over?" I looked him dead in the face and kept my voice simple. "It's over," I said. "You just didn't hear the ending yet." Then I walked out of that courthouse with my name back.